So those were the four choices that I made that led me to my fifth choice. Now, for me, these choices were linear, they were sequential, but that's just because that was my journey. I couldn't get to my fifth choice, which was to embrace what I believe is a boundless capacity to love. I believe we all have an innate boundless capacity to give love and to receive love. And I wasn't prepared to make that choice until I went through my own journey.
Mhm.
When I think about choosing to love, the distinction that I want to make is love as an emotion and love as an act, as an action. So I just want to get into this a little bit
Yeah. Okay.
and maybe start with, is there a time that you'd like to share where you chose to give all of your love? Because that is the distinction also that I want to make, is the choice to give it all or to receive all the love back.
Trish.
I know, I'm like,
This is a tough territory for me. Okay, can I just be really frank?
yes.
Which is that the word love is a charged word. I won't go too deep into this because then it truly will be a therapy session. But I didn't even get comfortable using that word until I frankly got into Terry's family. Terry is somebody who his family, like you go out the door to the grocery store, it's like, oh, bye, I love you. Like that's and I honestly, in our culture of my family, that is just not what we did.
Yeah.
And I there's probably a lot of reasons why. And so when I think about it like in a business context too, it's just like it makes me uncomfortable to use that word. So I'm embarrassed to say that because it's just funny because like anybody who knows me has watched this be like, yeah, she doesn't talk about love.
Like,
You're like, and I also, and I'll be honest with you, I'm also like not a great physical like hugger. Like I'm my own family, that's different. But like in the business world, it's funny, but people know I'm just a little awkward about that. And so I'm sensitive to these things because it's like, it's funny that I'm uncomfortable with the words and the actions. And yet, when I think about certainly in the broader family, I mean, there's nothing more important to me than my siblings, their kids, my kids, all the extended family on both sides. I mean, that's where I've had my entire social life as an adult has really been more with family and giving them as much as I can, in any way that I can. In the business world, what I would say is that probably the way that it plays out is maybe through more the lens of just deep respect for everybody and treating people with honest respect. And you could then maybe make a map of that towards love, which I wouldn't necessarily do. But I think what I learned in my life is that, I've had every job from waitressing, bank teller, Costco drug clerk, cleaning apartments, and I've done it all. And so I always felt like, if you could tap into the energy and the wisdom of folks who have those jobs, especially in certain industries, you could be a hell of a lot smarter and have more engagement than if you didn't. And so one of the things I'd say for sure at Ulta Beauty that I think is characteristic is that I made sure that everybody who worked for me at the senior level shared the value of we need to listen to and trust and respect the front line. They're the folks that know the most about what's happening day in and day out. They're the ones that are interacting with our customers. And if we simply listen instead of shut down, if we simply, trust and admire and respect instead of treat like, just employees, then what's possible, right? And I think for us, that really became a fuel for, us getting better at everything we did every day, including engagement. So the engagement scores that we have at Ulta are among the very top of retail companies. So, one could say that's a love. I don't know if I'd use that word in the
I
business
do.
context.
Right.
You could, but I would say it's about just respecting people as humans and treating them with respect and authenticity, you know?
Yeah. And I appreciate your perspective so much on it too, because my guess is you're not alone either in, especially at
Yeah.
the executive level that you are
Yeah.
at. And you brought words to, sometimes people will say, well, Trish, you talk about love, because I do. How does that manifest? How do you see that showing up? How does that manifest? And the words that you just offered up, respect, trust, even you said collaboration, even when you
Mhm.
were talking about how people inspire your trust.
Yeah.
I think about those things all in the spirit of how we show up as a human with another human, with the intent of elevating that other person up, and with the intent of giving, and I'll use the word, giving love, and it manifests all around us in a whole bunch of different.
Right. Well, in the lifting people up is a really interesting way to put it too, Trish, is that there's small ways every day that you can do that. And the more power, you have a lot of power to help people feel lifted up or pushed down all the time. And so, whether it's, if say we're doing like a Q&A session with our general managers from the store, when I first started, we had a session and people started asking questions, and most of the executives at that time were more in that classic mode of, I'm at the top of the organization. My job is to tell people I have all the answers, So if somebody asks a question, here's the answer, or no, that won't work, or here's why it doesn't work. And what we did is flip it around and just simply say, sometimes, not always, but like, tell me why you're asking, or what do you think? Because what I found is that anytime somebody in a group is asking a question, they already have an answer. They already have a point of view. They're not just asking a question. So you can answer it, sure, but you could also learn something and make them feel more engaged by just simply saying, well, tell me more about why you're asking, or what do you think we should do? Not to put people on the spot, but I found that that's a way to have people have voice and agency in a place that they maybe wouldn't have otherwise. Or certainly when you're in a meeting or a boardroom, and if a colleague voices a point of view, and you could tell they're maybe a little timid, or maybe they're the only other woman in the group, or some you can reinforce that by saying, hey, just like Trish said, let me build on that. That's a really good idea, Trish. And versus what happens sometimes is you might make a point, it doesn't get heard, and somebody else makes a point and it gets heard, right? So there's ways that we can use our power to help people feel heard and respected all the time, or the opposite,
or the opposite. And I'm just going to keep powering through this, and I'll stop. The opposite is a choice to withhold giving and receiving love, and we're just using my vernacular, and so if we, there are so many reasons why people, me included, everybody, why choices are made to withhold or to not give our all in that way, and what I propose to everybody that I'm thinking about and talking to, and you, who I do love, so put it at that, is what if each of us each day chose to show up with the spirit of, I say give love and receive love. You say respect, trust, and honor.
Yeah.
If we just chose each day in every interaction with the person next to us to come from that place, what would that mean?
Well, that's very powerful thought. And I was just thinking as you said this, I think it was kind of in my 40s or so, some point kind of middle of my career, where it hit me that like I don't need to compete with other people, particularly with other women. Like actually, if there's other, if I can be complimentary, legitimately so, of other people and lift them up, it's good for all of us. And I started to feel this because I wasn't always getting that. I was in situations maybe where there weren't that many women, and then it became a competition. I was like, well, it doesn't have to be that. I don't really care. You know what I mean? And so once I kind of saw how much you can lift people up by just including or respecting or calling them out publicly in a positive way. And I guess the last thing I'd say on this is that one of the things I'm most proud about Ulta Beauty is that we've had great results, but also have a great culture, and a culture that is one of listening and respect. And I think that's a good case study. It's possible. They don't have, it's not like every day is perfect or every day is easy, or everybody gets along all the time, everything's perfect. Right. But if you can generally lead and get results that are great, but also lead through a lens of humanity and people feeling good about where they are every day, to your point, what's possible? Because the alternative is, your work is pretty much where you spend your time. And if you feel like crap every day you go in, you feel not trusted or seen or insecure, that's not healthy. So
I believe with my whole heart that when we choose to give our love in that way, respect and honor and trust, and when we choose to receive what others want to give back to us, that not only creates enduring success, but it helps to fuel the success of those around us. And Mary, thank you.
Yeah, I'm learning from you. I mean, I think you articulate it in a way that I wouldn't have, but I think you're spot on. I think it's absolutely right.
Thank you.
So let's do more of that.
I know. And you and I are going to have a part 2 and part 3 and part 4.
Oh, yeah.
This is an ongoing conversation. We just allowed others to be a part of this conversation today.
Really true.
Thank you.
That's really true. It's been so much fun. Thank you, Trish. Thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you for joining me for our Choose and Become interview series. You could find this episode and others at trishkendall.com. Just go to trishkendall.com/choose-become-interview-series. Or if you have a question or just want to leave a comment, email me, trish@trishkendall.com.